welcome to the Scratching Post, where we discuss all things relating to the greatest team of all, the Geelong Football Club. My name is Brian Coppock, and with me is another that bleeds blue and white, Luke Young. Hello, Luke.
How you going, man?
I am fantastic. What a great win we had yesterday.
Yeah, pretty pumped about that one. Yep.
So today we're going to talk about our destruction of the highly fancied and much improved Kangaroos in front of 31,265 spectators down at the Geelong Fortress that is Cardinia Park. But first off, we're going to talk about the back line. Now, for me, they just marched on their merry way. They again conceded less than 60 points in a great defensive unit effort. Now, Blitz halves, he was nothing short of sensational against Ben Brown. And after mopping the floor with Lynch last week, he may be coming into All-Australian consideration. His ball use under pressure was fantastic. His defensive work nullified Brown, especially inside our defensive 50. And at times he tested Brown's stamina as well, running up the ground, leaving the big North Melbourne star in his wake. What did you think about Blitzarv's game?
Look, man, I was wrapped with it. We've for the last few years, Blitzarves has struggled to find a spot, and especially when I took out the third man up in the ruck, and it's really pleasing to see him play well and really well as a key defender. I think that he deserves to stay in the side when the other key defenders come in, and I think that All Australian might be pushing it just yet, but he's on his way.
Yeah, I think so. Like he touched up Lynch last week, and Brown. I can't remember Brown having a shot.
I don't remember it either. But no. and Ben Brown's is, if not the best, the second best forward in the competition. So that's a massive notch in his belt.
Yeah, totally. All right, moving on. Stewart again did as he pleased across half back, and I think he's becoming everyone's man crush. He started many attacks with his run, carry, and elite decision making. He never looks flustered. He's rarely beaten one-on-one, and he continues to dominate the air.
Yeah.
How did you see Tom Stewart?
Look, I'm running out of ways to describe how I see him play. It's amazing. He's in his second year of AFL footy, and he's playing like this.
Yep.
My butt did pucker up a little bit when he went off injured.
Yes.
Yeah, but then I was happy to see him come back. But yeah, he's just become so dependable. You know, as that Boris role running off halfback. You know, his skills are immaculate. Can't say enough about him.
Yeah, you should have heard the crowd roar. As he hurt himself, he got up and the ball came over to him. He was in so much pain, yet still managed to knock the ball out of bounds. Yeah. And the crowd just erupted as he went to the boundary line. It was sensational.
Yeah, he won't be paying for any beers at the Lord of the Isles, that's for sure.
Koladasny, he had the better of Jack Siebel for most of the day, and his marking is improving every week. Buse lifted his defensive pressure and continually ran forward, having a couple of shots on goal and kicking a ripper from outside 50. Henry was again superb in the air and is another that is cool under pressure. I actually loved his sidestep on Brown in the last quarter when he was under all sorts of pressure in the back pocket and just waltzed around him and went on his merry way as well. It was fantastic, those three again.
Yeah, well, Jack Henry, again, you can't believe that he's only played, 7, 8, 9 games of footy?
I think it's 11 now. 11. He's played every game so far.
It's insane, you know.
Yep.
And I put up a post on Facebook about how he's probably doesn't get the recognition that some of the other backmen are getting, but plenty of the Geelong fans jumped on and said, "Yeah, we're on board with him. He's going to be a star." Koladasny as well. I was really not sold on Koladasny until this year. You know, they were playing him off the wing, and I just thought his decision making wasn't quite good enough and things like that. But I mean, he's been unreal at centre half back this year. He's kind of, like I think I've said it on a podcast before, he's taken that Tom Lonergan sort of role, the dour defender. But he's got skills as well. He can still kick the ball. So super happy with him. And yeah, Tui and Buse, you can't really fault their games, can you? They were quite good as well.
Yeah, I was just about to speak about Buse. About Tui. I thought he was brilliant. Apart from getting caught in the first quarter after a failed sidestep, his foot skills coming
part per game. He has one part per game in him. That's normally a kick, but this time it was a tackle.
Yeah, he got caught good and proper.
Yeah.
But aside from that, again, his foot skills coming the back line allowed our mids space and time. So really happy with his game as well.
That goal, I think it was in the third, where he
Yeah,
winged it from outside 50.
yeah.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, he's a great kick for goal as well.
Yeah.
And last one to talk about is Aaron Black. His injury looked horrific, but hopefully it's not as bad as what it looked. Chris Scott seemed pretty upbeat about it, that it's not as bad as first thought. So fingers crossed on that one.
It was pretty
Because
good on the TV. Like I didn't get down to the game, but I watched it on tally, and it was gross watching that.
yeah,
And I
it
thought,
was.
you poor bastard, you know.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
playing the team. He's actually playing some pretty good footy, you know, and everyone had written him off. And I don't think that, as hard as it is to say, I don't think that it'll hurt us too much that he's going to be out, because we've got those tall players who are coming back through the VFL. But it is a blow for him, because he was playing some good footy and he showed some fortitude, you know, fighting back from essentially people wanting him delisted at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, I think he's been good down back since returning to the AFL side, and I think his presence will be missed until Henderson and Taylor return to take back the mantle. As a collective, their pressure was up from previous weeks, as they all laid more tackles than last week, except for Blitz Sarves, but he made up for it because he led the team in one percenters. So overall, they are now clearly the best defence in the competition.
He made up
Offense
for it
wins.
with his golden fist. Just that punch through.
Yeah, and as they say, offense wins games and defense wins premierships. So I think we're back on the right track.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how we went.
Yeah. Now, let's have a chat about the midfield. So for me, Gary Ablett, he was the best on the ground, and which I think is 2 weeks in a row. His ball use was outstanding, and even more pleasing was that he laid 8 tackles. His battle with Higgins was intriguing, and although Higgins was good, he went missing in patches throughout the game where Ablett was seemingly always involved. Now, his goal in the last quarter led to a crowd eruption as he strolled through the middle of the ground and slammed it home from 40 metres.
And then gave it the double.
Oh, yeah, the big yes. But also one of the highlights, it was highlighted on Fox Footy, but I think this was underappreciated about his game. He's very selfless, and this was highlighted, I think it was in the first or second quarter in a stoppage. He went and put on a block for Selwood, and Selwood, who'd been relatively quiet, got 2 quick touches and got him involved in the game. So I thought his selfless play was fantastic as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost the perfect midfield game, really, wasn't it? You know, what do you have, 34 touches or something, a couple of goals, 8 tackles, clearances. He did it all.
Yeah,
You know,
he was brilliant.
he ran that midfield, you know, because Selwood had a tough first half. He was tagged pretty much out of it in the first half, but he did fight back, and he had 20 touches in the second half, which was pretty, you know, it's pretty good. So
yeah, we'll get to him in a minute.
I don't know. How many times can we come on here and say we love Gaz? You know,
Yeah, I know.
He's back. We had no dramas about him coming back, and now we're just happy about it. We just love it every week.
Totally, and I think he's getting better each week too, which is scary for the opposition.
Yeah.
Now, Kelly, Menengola and Duncan all played to their usual high standards. All three are prepared to put their head over the footy, win the footy on the inside. However, on the outside, they are deadly. Yeah. All three are beautiful kicks and are able to hit targets around the ground. They're also kicking goals themselves and delivering the footy to targets inside our forward 50, which is the toughest kick of all.
Yeah, especially in the game at the minute with that flooding and things like that. Unpicking defences is really important. I think Kelly played himself into form in the last quarter because he's been a little bit down the last couple of weeks. Menegola has really stepped up and played that defensive midfield role that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago that we were missing with Scott Selwood, which is really good to see because I was worried about him getting squeezed out of the side because we had so many premier midfielders. And Mitch Duncan has taken that sort of run off the half back, through the middle role beautifully. He's a beautiful kick. You know, he's underrated because he's playing next to Ablett, Selwood, and Dangerfield. If he was, all Australian contention as well.
Yeah, and I think what Duncan is doing, he's leaving himself that space to be a premier ball user, and our midfield are looking to use him at every opportunity. One of the things that I'll talk about afterwards is something that him and Ablett are very good at, but I'll get to that in a second. Next up, Cunico, he continues to prove is another with good skills and poise under pressure. His running goal from the pocket after receiving a clever handball from Buzzer was probably his highlight of the game.
Yeah, he's got the shimmy. The shimmy,
Yes.
he sidesteps players and his beautiful kick. So
Yeah.
I hadn't really taken too much notice of him until this week. Young player, he's had a bit of the ball, but I hadn't really taken too much notice of him. But his last quarter was massive. When North Melbourne was 10 points, his composure for a young player was epic.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good for most of the game. Selwood, he was held really well by Jacobs in the first half, but ended up unleashing the shackles in the second half. Was probably the best player on the ground in the second half. I thought his second half was absolutely superb. I also liked Murdoch's game between wing and half forward. He tackles ferociously, and a couple of times he put on the afterburners, leaving the Roos to eat his dust.
Yeah. Murdoch is another one. Like all these players that I've had doubts about in the past, they're playing themselves into my heart. Murdoch, he never misses a tackle. He's strong as all get out. It's impressive the way he's fought his way back as well.
Yeah, his tackling's been good, and probably the last two is Danger and Stanley. So Danger probably played a lot up forward. He was moved into the centre at crucial times and won plenty of the contested footy, especially in that third and last quarter. Again, his contested marking down forward is a highlight, and if he continues to spend more time forward, sure to give opposition coaches headaches in the future. And if our midfield less Dangerfield continues to play the way they are, I think, we'll see Danger a bit more up forward. And then Stanley probably had his best game of the year. He took some nice contested marks. And in the end, he probably broke even against Goldstein, who, let's not forget, was an All-Australian.
Yeah. How good was Dangerfield's mark against Evil in the goal square?
Oh, yeah, just brute strength.
Yeah, just pushed him out of the way. It's unreal. But, yeah, Stanley, again, he's another one of those players that he played an awesome game, actually. He really linked up well through the midfield. And that game, the last 2 weeks have pretty much played him into the number one ruck spot, I think.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, especially from Gary Ablett and Mitch Duncan this year, is I've got a little theory on this. And when I was coaching, I used to tell this to the players, that there's two people on the ground that are the most dangerous. And the most dangerous person on the ground is the person with the footy. He controls the game, the tempo, where the ball moves. So he's the most dangerous person on the ground. But for me, the second most dangerous person on the ground is the bloke who has just disposed of it. So if I give the ball to you, Luke, everyone's focus moves over to you, which means that me becomes sort of like invisible. Everyone's focus is gone. I can run, go everywhere else, and no one will really pick me up. And this is where Gary Ablett and Mitch Duncan have been absolutely sensational. When Gary Ablett gets the ball and gives off that 1-2 handball that he has been criticised in the past as cheap possessions, it's totally not that. He gives a handball off to, say, Dangerfield and gets the receive off. When he gets rid of that ball, the whole focus goes to the person that's receiving. Let's say it's Dangerfield. Dangerfield takes all the heat, gives it off to Gary, and then Gary has the space to use his exquisite skills. And the other person that's doing that is Duncan. I don't know how many times he does this, but you'll see Duncan in the back line. He'll kick the ball, and then 20 seconds later, he's got the footy again. He's in that same link of possessions from the back line to the forward line on multiple occasions. And that's because when he gets rid of the football, he doesn't stand still. He moves on again. And again, as soon as he's got rid of the ball, everyone's eyes follow the ball and they're off Duncan. And Duncan becomes the invisible man on the field that no one pays any attention to because he's just disposed of the footy. And he's using that to his advantage to get up the ground and get that second and third possession in a chain that results in a goal. Him and Ablett, I think, are the best in the competition at doing this.
That's a pretty good summary, man. I hadn't really picked that up, so I'm going to have a look back at that. Yeah, that was pretty thorough. I don't really have much to add to that.
Yeah. Oh, you see it all the time, and people say, those 1-2 cheapies that Gary gets, it's not that at all. He's giving the ball off. Everyone's focus goes off Gary. And I'll tell you, in the 2008 Grand Final, Hawthorn recognised this, and you'll see that every time Gary Ablett got rid of the ball in the 2008 Grand Final, he got poleaxed.
Yeah.
Now, that rule has come in now that if you hit the bloke afterwards, it becomes a 50-metre penalty or downfield. So you can't do that anymore. And now Gary Ablett and Mitch Duncan are taking full advantage. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah. And so finally, our forwards. I was really disappointed to learn before the game. We were watching the warm-up and we were looking around. We saw Parsons, we're like, who's missing? And went through the record and, I was like, oh, it's McCarthy. And I was really disappointed because, last week he was fantastic and we want to see more of him to showcase what he can do, because obviously he's going to be a great player, but these little injuries and that are hampering him. So I was really disappointed in that. Parsons was his replacement, and although he kicked a nice goal, I can't see him keeping McCarthy or Cockatoo out of the team when they're at full fitness.
Nah, no chance. No chance. I struggle with Parsons at the minute, but, I've been proven wrong before, so we'll see what happens with him. But
let's not forget he's only 19 or 20 years old. He's got plenty of footy ahead of him.
Yeah, that's true. Link McCarthy, I listened to the coach's press conference, and he said that he just had hamstring tightness. So that's a plus. It's not a serious injury. So,
yeah.
After the Richmond game. So, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. It's just a precaution for him. We'd rather miss one than six.
Yeah.
Now, Jermaine Jones, he also kicked a nice goal from the pocket, but he was pretty much otherwise quiet. He looks like he has the goods. He's got some tricks, and he's pretty cool under pressure as well. But I feel he's in the same boat as Parsons, and he's more of a future player for us rather than a present one.
Yeah. It's hard to judge a bloke who's played 2 games. But you're right. He was pretty quiet. But you never know with those small forwards. They only need 10 minutes to tear a game apart, and that might be next week. Who knows?
Yeah, possibly. Buzzer was better this week and took some good contesters up the ground and kicked a nice goal early. And he battled manfully in the ruck against Goldstein as well.
Yeah, now that we haven't got the Sav, I'm comfortable that Buzzer's our option. He's okay. He's not great. He's not the best, but he's okay. He's pretty good in the ruck. I'm okay with him in the ruck. So, it is what it is with Buzzer.
Yeah. I'm just concerned, as I think I've mentioned this before, he does have the poor eyesight, and in that first quarter, he dropped us absolute soda that he should have took. After that, though, he was pretty good, so I think he'll hold his spot for next week.
I don't think there's anybody else to bring in for him, so he hasn't really got any competition for that spot at the minute.
Well, there's talk of Abbott, but
we don't know. I've never watched any of the VFL games, so I don't know what he's like.
Yeah. Nick Parfitt, all class, and he showed why he was missed when he was injured. He's poised, he's clever, and he makes those around him better. And I think he's going to be a star of the competition.
Yep, totally agree. Love watching him play. He's hard at it. For that kind of player, he's very hard at it, and I enjoy watching him play. He's going to be great.
Yeah, I loved his little side steps, and he seems to have time when he's got the footy.
Yeah.
Makes good decisions. He's very skillful, and he's one of the when it comes to score involvements, he's in the top 2 or 3 at Geelong. So when he touches the ball, we score.
Yep.
Fogarty, he's another on the borderline. I think he's ahead of Parsons and Jones. He was involved in link-up.
He tackles better. That's why he's ahead of him.
Yeah. He was also involved in link-up play between the mids and forwards throughout the game. He's tough over the footy, and he's clean on the outside too. So I think he'll hold his spot for a few more weeks, and hopefully further improvement to come.
I think the coach is pretty keen on him too. I think he's keen on his defensive pressure. I think that's the main thing that he brings to the team, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and as a first-year player, I think he's probably, as I said, he's ahead of Parsons and Jones at the moment. Yeah. Hawkins was sensational.
Yeah,
I really love him playing high up the ground. Apart from a drop chest mark and I think 1 or 2 errant kicks, I thought he was close to best on ground, just behind Gary. He provided a get-out target numerous times. He displayed an aerobic capacity I think many questioned in the past. He dragged Thompson and Tarrant up the ground, which created mismatches for our deep forwards to take advantage of. And when deep, he marked well and kicked 3 goals.
Yeah, and we've spoken a little bit about Tommy over the last couple of weeks, and we've talked about the heavy workload that he does. And this week, it all just fell into place for him. The heavy workload paid off, and he got his possessions, he got his marks and everything. And it was really good to see, and good to see people get off his back a little bit, because he is a massive workhorse and he's so important to our team.
Totally. Without him, we're not a finals threat.
No, not at all.
So collectively, the Smalls applied enough pressure to reduce the Brews' efficiency, exiting their defensive 50 whilst also being productive as well. The Tools were really outmarked. Stanley, Buzzer and Hawkins, they either took the mark or brought it to ground, and that was good for our Smalls to capitalise on. And to score 96 points against the second stingiest backline in the league was a fine effort.
Yeah, and we kept them to a relatively low score as well. Our backline's the most stingiest, I think,
It is.
in the
It
league.
is.
So yeah, like I said, I'm
Yeah.
very, very happy with how that game went because I wasn't confident before the game.
Yeah, with the defence, that's the third week in a row we've kept a team under 60 points,
Yeah.
and North Melbourne only kicked 2 goals to half time, so they're doing good. So overall, I thought it was our best performance as a unit all year. We dominated most of the game with the team effort, and Hawkins and Ablett being the cream on a very tasty cake.
Yum.
Oh, well, yeah, thanks for joining me on the podcast, Luke. We'll get together again soon. And thanks to all the Geelong fans for watching. We appreciate your feedback and encourage your participation on our Facebook page. If you have any topics that you would like addressed, let us know, and we'll discuss them in the upcoming podcasts. Thanks again. See you soon, and go Cats!
Cats.